we got cheers, right?
Yeah.
Cheers to another episode of Spilling Ink's monthly happy hour hangouts. This is our August happy hour. We've got J.E. Taylor with us again, and we've got the ever popular, oh so wonderful Jason Lavelle.
Woo-hoo! You know you love me. You know you love me.
Welcome.
Wow.
Salute.
We're drinking tonight, so I don't have to be professional at all.
No, by the end of the show, we aren't.
Right? I may have to pause and go get another one. It's okay.
Yes.
Not
all, I
done
have to do is,
either.
all I have to do is clap my hands and, and yell, and the door will open, and I'll get another one.
What? You've got room service? That's not fair.
Yes, I do. They're called minions.
Who brings you stuff? How did you get room service?
Family is staying here tonight. They're right outside that door.
Some of us are just not as cool as Jane is.
Wow. See, I'm locked in my basement right now, so I'm trying to avoid visitors.
Well, you know, hopefully the baby doesn't wake up, and hopefully we don't have lightning out that window.
It would be kind of cool, though, to see the lightning in the background.
That would be.
Yeah, well, I'd have to close it, but yes.
So, now, do you guys ever read anymore? Do you read books at all?
Yeah, actually.
Yes.
Be proud of me. I'm that close to finishing.
Is it Game of Thrones? Oh, Lord.
Oh,
What are you
wow.
reading, J.E.?
It takes me so long to get through each chapter. I love the books. I really do. But it takes me so long to get through each chapter because they're very tedious.
Yeah.
So with the kids and with other things going on, I'm lucky if I get a chapter in every week at this point. So it takes me forever to get through these books, and I have 3 more to go after this one.
Oh,
Yeah, I read off my Kindle when I exercise. So, you know,
So
and
what are
then
you reading right now, J.E.?
What's that?
I'm reading the Demon Shadow Saga by Sarah Connolly or something like that.
Okay.
It's like, who is this?
It sounds like some kind of urban fantasy.
Sarah Cannon. Yeah, it's urban fantasy, magic, and it's paranormal romance in there as well. So
Okay.
a lot of battles, a lot of blood, a lot of, you know, people getting hurt.
I like that. That's good stuff. No,
Exactly.
Katie, Heather is almost done with, well, I say almost done with. She's at,
I have to show you. This is my, well, other than my book that's up here, this is my on-desk TBR pile.
ooh, nice.
Yeah, so I've got a few books in the wings just waiting for their chance to be read.
Heather just, she hit 90% on the Game of Thrones series. She's got the box set on her Kindle.
Yep.
90% is for her. It was like 2 years of reading that she's up to now. And I'm like, man, I cannot commit that kind of time to a freaking series anymore.
Wait, let me explain why you can. It fits into my whole I can only read a chapter a week thing. The way that he formats his chapters is each character point of view has its own chapter, and he does the full story in each chapter. So you get a good idea of where everything is going from each character's viewpoint each time. It's not a completely linear thing. So you can stop and go and stop and go and stop and go. So you could pick it up and put it down and say, okay, I'll get to it again another week or whatever, and commit to that 2 years over time. And it doesn't feel like it's that daunting, like you have to do it all in one go.
I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of over that. I mean, I used to love reading books in series, and there are still some series that I absolutely love. Katie Salidas' series, of course, Chronicles of the Uprising, story of the sexy gladiator vampires.
Hey, when are we collaborating on that one? Weren't we supposed to be working on the what was it, Justine's story?
You know, we were, but I don't know if it's going to be a good working relationship. You're kind of hard-headed. You've got things the way you want them, and I don't know that I can come in there with my weird hippie style, and if I think you'll end up stomping me out.
What? I'm not that mean. Jeez.
I didn't say mean. I said hard-headed. You're very passionate about the way you do things.
Okay. I don't know how to take that. I'm just gonna let that go.
Well, no, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's, you know, because we wrote that first chapter or so, or first few pages, and as I'm working with you, I'm like, you know what? I don't know if we're gonna be going in the same direction. And this is a series that's been your baby for years now. And so I don't know. I don't know if we could pull it off. I think you'd end up killing me by the end of it, because I would just be going off into La La Land and you'd be like, no, it's going right here. It's going to happen.
You know, don't say that too loud, because Jane's supposed to be working with me in January on a series.
Oh, God help you, Jane. God help you. Well, speaking of series, I've got, you know, my most recently finished books. This is Crooked Kingdom, and
nice.
this is part of a duology, the Six of Crows duology. And a friend of mine at work actually gave me the first book, and I thought it was a standalone, which is why I picked it up to read it.
Yep.
And it's not a standalone. Spoiler alert. You have to read both books, but they are fantastic. And I was so surprised by these, because they're not, as when you look at the covers and you read the description, it seems like it's going to be a young adult urban fantasy kind of thing, but it's not. I have a tough time explaining this, but it's approachable like young adult fantasy is, where it's easy to read and the language isn't overly baroque. But it's got definitely adult content, lots of violence and swearing and cool ideas going on. But so Six of Crows, if you haven't read it, you definitely got to put it on the TBR, because it's fantastic, especially for you fantasy lovers, because it's a really cool story. This has been like the summer of fantasy for me. What else did I read? I read Starless. I wanted to read that before I went and did the interview with Jacqueline Carey, and that was fantastic. Another epic fantasy. Absolutely loved it. So then I read these two, and it seems like I read another fantasy book. What other fantasy book did I read, Katie? What was it?
I don't know. I read Pestilence 3 times this summer. The first time it just captured me. The second time I wanted to read it to analyze it, but I got too into it again. And the third time I tried to read it to analyze it, and I was able to see some of the things she was doing, but the story just kept sucking me in.
I've never heard of that. What is it?
It's one of the Four Horsemen stories by Laura. I can't pronounce her last name. Thasau.
Oh, Laura Thasalo?
Yes, thank you. But yeah, and she's the one whose cover she has to have it redone, because she didn't know the artist stole the art. So, but I mean, the cover was fantastic, but the book lived up to it.
Let me ask you guys this, since we're talking about books that just stole our attention and we wanted to read over, what were the elements that made those books that way for you? What drew you in?
You go first, because you're smarter.
It was a visceral attachment to the character. They were all, the ones that have captured me are all in first person, which I never thought I liked, but they were all in first person, and they were done really well. So it wasn't all, inside their head, but it was imaginative and very, very dark. so I think those two things, the fact that it was dark and it got to me and it made me care about the character immediately.
I hear that a lot. The character drawn versus plot centered stories seem to really make people attach themselves to the story. Not that they don't care about what happens in the plot, but they want to get to know the character more than anything else.
Right.
See, and I feel I have a conflicting opinion on that. By the way, I'm looking at the cover of Pestilence right now over here. It looks really cool. It's beautiful cover art. Is this the one that the artist had stolen the cover? It's like the Elf King holding the girl that looks like the girl from Twilight.
Yes.
Okay. Beautiful artwork.
I mean, the cover is stunning. It's too bad that, all the components are stolen. But I guess she's this week the new cover artist she hired is actually doing a photo shoot for her cover. So.
Oh, okay. We should try to get her on the show. Is she a Big Five author or?
No. I think she's indie.
Really? Okay.
I think she's indie.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to get her on to chat. Oh, but so about plots and characters. Mm-hmm. I love reading thrillers. I love thrillers. And I love them because there's such a big plot to them. So there's lots of action, lots of intrigue, things going on for me to follow. I don't like drowning in character stuff. When it comes right down to it, I want to get to know the characters as they move through a really badass plot. I don't really care about what they think about when they're laying in bed at night, dreaming of Edward and Jacob fighting over her.
Oh no, Pestilence is not like that. Pestilence is very dark and very violent.
when people say character driven versus plot driven, it really brings up kind of conflicting emotions in me, because I think that really good books now are actually both. And I think that is kind of the standard now for excellence in writing, is you make a book that has a really good story, and that story is your plot, and you tell about the characters as they move through this story arc. And I think that's my favorite way to read. And for me, the books that I read this summer, and the Six of Crows duology, since I just finished that, I'll mention that. They are completely plot driven. However, they also completely character driven. They're told also in alternating viewpoints, where you have this cast of 6 or 7 characters that you're cycling between for each chapter, which sometimes can be confusing for readers. But in this case, it works really well, because as the plot moves forward, you're seeing this story through the eyes of, Kaz or Matthias or whatever character comes next. And there's always a little bit of their personality and backstory in with every chapter. That way, they're not just dumping a whole heap of info on the reader. They're just kind of gently sprinkling it in there. And I thought it was really clever, because by the end of the second book, I'm like, okay, I don't like reading series, but now I want a third book because I love these characters so much, and I don't want them to end.
Right.
But I think that's what really hooks me about a book, is not necessarily a kick-ass plot or kick-ass characters, but that combination of both. Because if it doesn't have both for me, I could care less.
If you don't care about the characters, regardless of the plot, I think it falls flat.
Yeah, I agree.
So I mean, the plot has to be kick-ass too, but yeah.
Yeah. I think it takes a nice marriage of both to make it work right. And that's one of the things I liked about Katie's Gladiator Vampire series.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah,
that was one of my favorites. She's sitting there going, "Okay, they're talking about me."
It was really good, because you had this really kick-ass chick, and you're also getting little bits of who she is with every scene, even if it's a really violent scene.
Right.
And I like that. And I thought by the end that I really dug all the characters so much.
I think that's important, though, when you're, as authors, when we're writing the story, not just to have the character react to what's going on, but also remember that they're emotional too. So it's not that immediate reaction, but there's a little bit deeper too. How is this affecting them? What does it draw up from their past? How do they look at the situation from past experience to now? And adding in those little tidbits without always having to go, they felt this, they saw this, but finding other ways to bring that out so that you, the whole, version of the character. Right.
So the reader experiences it instead of you telling them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the key.
And that's hard to do. I mean, when you're writing a scene, especially like, let's say a fight scene, for instance, which is very fast paced, it's very reactionary. you still have to stop and remember that it's not just the character physically reacting, but what are they going through mentally? How are they analyzing the situation? What do they think about, this fight? How are they reacting to their emotional connection to whomever they're fighting with?
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I'm really trying to improve, Katie. And the book I'm working on now, I think that I'm starting to get it right, because when it came to action scenes especially, I used to just kind of hammer them out. I would truncate my style. I would shorten everything up, make it really, really choppy so the sentences moved really quickly, but I never felt like there was any heart to it. There was nothing else. And so now with this recent book that I'm working on, which I still don't have a title for, I need a title for this, but I'm taking a lot more time with it. And even when there's action, I'm always inside these characters' heads, not necessarily doing an inner monologue all the time, but I'm always there so that I'm trying to depict the reactions accurately if possible.
I did kind of an experiment like that this week on my private Facebook group. I posted a scene. It's very raw.
Is that the naughty group that you told me you had?
No. It's the Paranormal Posse group.
Oh, not the nudie pics one?
No, not that one. Okay. Anyways, so I posted, and you should have seen it. I know you're in the group. I posted the scene very raw, and it's very much that reactionary. It's very to the point. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. This is the character's immediate thought. And then to continue with the experiment, I posted the next day the next revision, because we all know the revisions change a lot between them. Yes. And the second version of the story got a more visceral response from the readers. I, had some readers just, oh my God, I don't want to read anymore. This is horrible. Why could you do that to the character that I love? And that's exactly what I want them to think at that point.
And is this out of book 3?
It is, but I only sent you section 1. This is actually from section 2.
Oh, okay.
But you have to give me notes on section 1 before I'll release section 2.
Yeah, I opened up Facebook this morning when I saw all those messages from you and the other podcasters, and I realized too that you had sent me a story. I was like, I have no memory of this place.
Though was to see how readers respond to it, and also to show them how the process works too. With the revisions, how much actually goes into each revision. And that second version got a lot more of a guttural response from readers than the first one, even though it's the same material.
Right. Well, it's the same.
Sound like? Can you imitate it for us?
Oh!
Yes. Okay, that's good. I like it.
Yeah, the first draft that I wrote, I've been tinkering with a little bit, because I'm actually taking a writing course on openings, chapter openings and book openings. So I've had to dig deeper than I usually have, because at this point in just writing, I don't do that. I just, I'm sort of like you, Katie. You slam out the first copy, and then you go back and you start adding the meat and bones to it instead of just, the bare minimum. So I've had to step back and elaborate. And it's interesting when you get that view, especially, with a scene that's got all action in it, to try to get the emotional hits in there, not just the action. So, I'm going back to basics. I took a lot of these types of courses back in 2009. And it's been a long time since I've taken a writing course, and I'm like, okay, it's time to refresh it.
Point too, like even the seasoned authors occasionally need to kind of refresh, go back to basics, and remember some of the things that we almost take for granted in our writing.
Right.
I want to do that too. I would love to take a couple online courses, because I've been feeling lately like, man, I really want to learn how to kind of improve and get beyond where I am right now. And I think just working with some other people would help shake things up a little bit. Are you taking a course online or something that's there local?
No, it's online. It's Margie Lawson's academy, writing academy. So she's out of Denver. That's the first person I took back in 2009. She still has her online classes, and she had deep editing and writing like a psychologist, behavior like a psychologist. deep, yes. and stuff like that. So it was in rhetorical devices and things like that, and how to use them in a manner that gives more impact. And
now, is she the one that you wanted to bring on the show?
Yes. Yeah, I thought it would have been a good, chat with us.
Yeah, we got to do that.
Yes, because I think, she can sort of give her viewpoint of how teaching and what she has to offer, and the authors that she's brought through that. I know, like, Lisa Gardner was one of her students. So, she's a big thing. So, I don't know.
At any point in your writing, there's always room for improvement. It's just like with the publishing industry, there's always new tactics to marketing. There's always new ways of bringing your book out there, new printers to discover, new ebook channels to work with. So, you never stop learning just because you've been doing it for a while.
Right, exactly. And I was like, okay, I need to get back to basics. I want to try to make an impact. I'm stepping into, and originally I was going to do the new series, which is all, classic fantasy, which I've never truly done. So I wanted to sort of get back to basics and step in by doing that. But she wanted something that was already more done. So I'm doing Snow, which is the next Fractured Fairy Tale.
I dream of being able to write an epic fantasy, like, Tolkien style. And maybe someday I'll get there, because I have all these lofty ideas, but the amount of world building that goes into it, I can see why it takes them forever to write it. And I can understand why George R.R. Martin still isn't done.
I know.
Because the thoughts that go into it, that you are literally building a brand new world from the ground up, with religions, with different lands, with different economic systems, with different creatures and classes. I mean, there's so much to go into it. And I have all these little notes of ideas that I want to create my new world. But, oh man, that is a lot of work.
Yes, it is. So, but I mean, you had to do some world building with your vampire series.
True, and there's world building in every novel that I've written, especially the new series, The Agents of Asset. I have a whole new religious system, a whole new mythology based, the basis for magic, but it's still a smaller scale compared to creating an entire universe.
Right, exactly, and when I get to the Elven book that I'm going to be doing, that's like Tolkien and George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, especially if you go to creative languages too.
No.
Like snippets of language, because that's what they do. They do create some different words that are specifically Elven or specifically, Dwarfish. That's part of it, and that it all has to be done really well to truly bring the book out there.
Exactly. So, hello.
Hi. Sorry.
What are you
drinking? This is a Sicilian Kiss. This is 1 part Southern Comfort, 1 part Amaretto, and a splash of grenadine. It is absolutely fantastic.
I want one of those. I'm drinking Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Yeah, these are super
I'm
good.
almost out. I may have to step away and get a new one.
I'm drinking Hurricane Punch, so.
And see, I can't drink those ones because they're so sweet, and this is sweet, but those have so much sugar in them that I get heartburn really, really easy. So even though they taste good, I can't drink them.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna stop at this one and go back to my water because I do have this, but it's not as fun as the big bottle of strawberry wine.
That was beautiful. Did you save that?
What, the bottle?
Yeah.
No. I finished it.
Okay.
like 4 weeks later.
Speaking of that, did you know that we have Spilling Ink merchandise now? And as I was going through the Cafe Press website, the first thing that I said we had to have was a flask.
Yeah.
We'll have to bring that.
Yes.
We have to have a Spilling Ink flask.
Yes.
Are there nice little Hawaiian shirts on there with our Spilling Ink logo on it?
I wish they don't have those. I would have so picked one of those for you.
That's what I need for Comic-Con.
Yeah.
You're gonna see, Jason, when we go to Phoenix Comic-Con. It's a good sized event. It really is. And it has a lot of, it has the writer track. It has the media. It has the special guests that show up. You're going to see a lot of stuff that you probably aren't used to seeing. And it might overwhelm you a little bit, but I think it'll be a good view into what Comic-Con's all about.
Okay. Yeah, I applied for media credentials at Michigan Comic-Con and one other one on the other side of the state there, and I haven't heard back from anybody yet. I'm going to re-email them, but yeah, because I want to go and check them out. But I don't know. I kind of, these aren't the kind of events that I would go to if I wasn't going there for a purpose. Like I wouldn't just go for the fun of it.
Really?
It'd be like going to a mall for me. There's just too many people.
Well,
Okay.
that's the thing. You're going based on genre. If you're a fantasy author, Comic-Con is where you want to be because it's not specifically comics anymore. Yes, it started with comics, but it is more a celebration of the fantasy and sci-fi fandoms.
Yes.
Okay.
Huh.
And
And
are we still planning on dressing up for Phoenix, or have you scrapped that idea?
I still think we should, and I also think we will be doing the Greatest Showman spilling or lip sync battle.
Oh God, don't do that. It was like the worst movie to come out in 20 years.
I wish that Jenna had gotten the entire video. There is a snippet of me and Jacob doing the duet that she recorded and posted on Instagram. She didn't get the whole thing, but we did it a couple of times while we were at the booth, just bored. And we will be doing it again.
You need to get that dude that oh man, what is his name? It's not Jacob. It's another guy that reminds me of Jacob. He's got the ultimate agency.
Oh, Derek Moore.
Yeah. Because he's a classical singer too. So you got to get him in on your singing act.
Yeah, that would be fun.
In fact, you could do a whole little show of just you guys singing, musical show tune things.
When you get bored during some of the slow times, you come up with crazy things to do. And it was fun to, play the music and do the lip sync battle and have people stop and look at us like we were idiots.
Well, I have a plan for Phoenix. And my plan is that you guys are going to be running this booth and churning out book sales left and right, while I'm running the Spilling Ink media room that you're going to still get set up too, because you got to do all the work here.
No, see, we won't have a media room. You're going to have to go walk your happy little butt down to the author's alley, and you're going to one by one.
No, they're coming to my media room. It's going to be, there's going to be couches and maybe a settee.
Have you ever
not in there?
I'm like, have you ever done journalism?
No, this is how journalism's gonna be.
Hey, I got sent out to a place where somebody got shot in the ass through the wall. And I had to interview them.
They were shot in the ass with what?
I had to try to interview a woman who got shot in the ass through the wall in the projects in Hartford. I was sitting down with a cameraman and a microphone.
Nice.
How do you keep a straight face with that kind of interview?
Well, we didn't get it because we were there late, and and her husband said she's tired, she's sleeping, go away. I'm like, okay.
I mean, that's pretty awesome. How do you get shot through a wall in the ass?
I don't know. But yes, I'm very good at shoving microphones in people's faces, and I'm actually getting better at being in front of the camera now. That was my career many years ago. I worked for a television station.
See, when you have somebody on your side, like if you have the cameraman with you or whatever, there's that bravery element too. You've got somebody there who's got your back.
Yes, I was 21 walking through the projects. You know, little Miss White girl with little Miss White camera.
Oh, man.
I had a microphone. I was fearless.
You need like a switchblade microphone.
I don't know. I was little. I'm 4'10", so yes.
You're 4'10"?
Yes, I'm 4'10".
Holy
I look
smoke.
taller because I'm sitting up, right?
Wow, yeah, I thought you were really tall.
No, I'm really
The
tiny.
Tom Cruise effect.
Yeah.
It's the angle of the camera. See?
Yep, that'll do it.
Well, speaking of camera, Katie, we actually will, if we are going from booth to booth to chat with people over at Phoenix, we actually kind of need 2 people doing it. Otherwise, whoever is doing the interviewing isn't on camera at all. And I kind of feel like it's good to have one of us on camera. You know, not only does it reinforce the brand, but it's what people are used to seeing. So we gotta have 2 people that are out roaming around. Thankfully, Heather will be there, so she could be my camera guy.
There you go.
Yeah. But I'm gonna
That's
need
awesome
you
that you'll have Heather there to help you, because that'll make it an interesting experience. We can kind of have her do the gopher stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, she'll love that.
And if I can get Allie to come with me, I have my minion.
That's
Nope.
right. Allie will be good. Although it seems like if she got tired of it, that she might not be great. It seems like she would give you some sass.
Well, that's just the teenager. But yeah, we will have a good time. And if it's the same setup that we had last time, the booth will be there. You know, it'll be hopefully getting people to come by, but we'll have so many people there that we can swap out. We can, you know, go off and do the author's alley for a little while. We can send you off to one of the writers panels and have you, you know, record some of it, or maybe grab some interviews from the authors that are doing that, so that we can kind of share duties, I guess. What is that face? What are you doing?
So here's a question for you. I actually forgot what I was going to ask, but it was important. But never mind, I forgot what it was.
It wasn't that important then.
Have another drink. It's okay.
Oh yeah. Yes. So speaking of the booth, because you were a self-proclaimed booth setup expert, Katie. I've seen pictures of the last time you guys did Phoenix Comic-Con, and it looks like what it was a tribute to Jenna Johnson with a little bit of Katie Salidas thrown in. So where do the boys fit into this?
Okay, so the reason that you see Jenna's dragon banners and less of other people's banners is because her dragon banners are unbranded, and we're at a fantasy convention. And people see dragons from a distance and they go, ooh, and they're drawn like magnets towards the booth. So that's why you see the big dragon banners. But if everybody who comes brings a banner, then everybody who comes gets a spot with the banners. We had spaces for 4 banners last time. Only Jenna and I had banners. So that's why it was my banners flanking hers.
Okay. All right. Now, what do you mean her banners were unbranded? They're not proprietary, or
no, the two dragon banners only have the pictures on them. They don't have her name on them. They don't have any book information on them. That's why I say they're unbranded. Yes, they are the dragons from her book series, but because there's no wording on them, they just act as kind of a draw.
Right.
Interesting. That's clever. Now, did she do that on purpose, or was that kind of a happy accident?
I think she did it on purpose because she has other banners that have the books on them. And she knows that people like dragons. That's the same reason that my banner, or at least the newest banner that I've done, has the giant wolf on it. And just has my name because people see wolves and they're like, oh, I like wolves. And they are drawn to that. And that's more of what I want them to see rather than having to throw my name on it.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, because that draws the crowd.
Yeah, you want something that... There's so much visual noise when you're walking through a convention. Anything that's going to actually catch the eye and stop somebody is a good thing. So, you know, rather than flashy lights or whatever, a big symbolic image that somebody can relate to is a great way to get them to stop in their tracks and take a longer look.
Which is what you want.
Yeah. Okay. And then, of course, there's always, the cat calling that goes on too. And it's not necessarily, hey, come buy my book. But as people are walking by, if they're in costume and you recognize the costume, sometimes pointing out, oh, I love your costume. Are you such and such? That gets people to stop. And you're not calling them over to buy your book, but you are getting them to stop and engage with you. And that interaction can sometimes draw them in, and maybe they'll look at your books.
Interesting. Huh.
Right. Yeah, it's all the marketing is the interesting part of it.
Yeah, and one of the things
that I don't do too many of them because I don't have a lot.
One of the things we're thinking of doing for the next one, and I keep tossing around the idea, but I can't figure out what prizes would be good enough. I'm thinking of cosplay bingo, and it would be a fun thing to do because people can go around and try and find people within those certain costumes, and you do like a standard bingo board, and you have like find a Deadpool, find a Harry Potter character. And you make them, instead of marking it off, they have to take a selfie with that character so that you can see that they've actually done it. And if they get the whole board, there's got to be a prize at the end. So what it does is it gets people to engage with you. You give them the bingo ticket, you tell them about the game, and then it draws them back for the prize. Yeah. But the prize has to be worth it.
Do a Kindle, Paperwhite.
But see, with cosplay bingo, they're going to win. They're going to find all those characters. So it's got to be something that we can afford to give out because there will be a lot of prizes awarded.
Okay. It wasn't like, bingo and then a raffle.
Yeah, no, it's you get all these guys, you get a prize, but it's got to be something worth it that is cheap enough that we can still give out a bunch of.
Like paperbacks or something better than that.
Well, I thought about that because a lot of times we have a lot of old stock books between everybody at the booth, books that are either old covers, old stock, that we don't really sell for full price. And I've got a bunch that I could do, like my Pretty Little Werewolf series. I still have a lot of the original covers that I didn't sell off before I changed to the new cover. So I could do like Blind Date with a Book style, wrap it in brown paper and have that be just an awarded prize. But I don't have enough to do what possibly could be enough winnings for an entire event. So we would need more from the booth to do that.
Well, and I don't have a problem giving away paperbacks. Okay, so here's my thinking. Bear in mind that I haven't done these before. However, we've talked to a hell of a lot of people on this show about conventions. We talk about conventions a lot. And it seems like, and I could probably only think of really two people that actually sell a lot of books at conventions. Usually it's just, I sold a handful and, I help, pay back some of my expenses, but it's more about meeting people and talking to them. And I hear that over and over. And so I don't mind just giving books away willy-nilly. I don't care. I want them to read them and I want them to leave good reviews and to spread the word about reading. And so I guess my goal in coming out there isn't necessarily to sell my paperbacks, but to hang out with you guys and kind of have this experience that I think will be really cool, and do stuff for Spilling Ink, which I think will be really fun, is because I do best when I have a task. If I have a job, my job is to create a weekend worth of really cool content to put out on the show next week. I can do that. I can do that really well. But if I'm just kind of lazing around there, I don't do well when I'm not focused. I need someone to assign a job to me.
I don't think you're going to run out of things to do. Just to warn you, when it comes to setting up the booth, leave it to me and Jenna. That's our thing.
No, I already talked to Jenna, and I'm going to be the one that's setting up the booth.
No, she will never let you do that. Don't even think that you can do that. Okay, me and Jenna have a very similar OCD when it comes to the booths. I know for a fact if she is not 100% involved in booth setup, she will freak out. It's kind of funny because when we set up the booths together, we kind of pick our thing and we'll snip at each other too. Don't touch that. I'm doing that. And we go to our own sides. We fix it. We make it look beautiful. And everyone that's boothed with us is kind of like, okay, take a step back. We're good. So don't worry about booth setup.
So
But-
we could just send you our books and you'll integrate them into your spectacular setup.
Well, if you don't have any input on it, you might have a little sliver of a table, so I would still be there. But what I'm saying is you're not gonna run out of things to do. Yes, there are some slow times, but because of the spilling ink angle, those slow times will be filled with, okay, the author's alley is over here. We need to hit the authors that are not on panels right now and try and interview them. If there's another slow time, it'll be, okay, let's see what panels are going on in the writer's track, and let's get up there and try and get some video footage. Let's try and grab some of them before they go in for their panel and interview them. We'll have plenty to do. There won't be a lot of downtime. And as far as the hangout goes, once the day is over, that's when we hang out and unwind. The day is usually pretty busy.
You said that there's lots of seedy nightlife in Phoenix too, like there is in Vegas, right?
Not really.
I don't know. The hotel I stayed in Phoenix was kind of nice.
The hotel we usually stay at is actually really cool, and it's walking distance from the event, and there's so many like restaurants and stuff nearby that you basically just park the car and you're done. You don't have to drive at all for the rest of the weekend.
Nice.
So we have a good time.
And my uncle has a place in Phoenix too, but I was kind of thinking it'd be more fun to hang out, to stay where everybody else is, because then I don't know, I get to see each other. Of course, we're going to see each other all day, but
if you can, talk to Jacob though, because he's supposed to be going too, and see if you guys can room share.
I've got Heather. He's not crashing with us.
Okay. I was just trying to make it more economical. Then you want to stay at the Sheraton downtown. Book your tickets now. That's where we stay, and it's walking distance, so it makes life so much easier.
I was telling Katie there's boats that you can rent in San Diego and stay
Nice.
on.
That would be awesome.
I can't even tell you how excited I am to even have the prospect of going to San Diego Comic-Con. That's like my dream right now, is to be able to do that event, just to be there, be part of it in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, if I would be in regardless of what he says.
I told them earlier, I was like, you know what, I'll drive down and sleep in my van if I have to.
I don't know. I guess I still don't. I don't know. We'll have to see. I still don't see what the big draw is. I mean, I don't see what the benefit to us is yet.
Well, it's all a part of being in and around the mainstream media. If you look at YouTube channels like Geek and Sundry, Nerdist, what's another one that I listen to? Screen Junkies. You know, yeah, they follow a lot of the mainstream like movie, comic book things. We want to be something like that for authors, for publishing. And to be a part of that, we have to have, you know, a touchstone. And that's kind of a major touchstone, being a part of the major media moguls out there.
You know, it's like who wrote books. I mean, things like that. Not only authors, but even media tie-ins. You know.
Well, and just look at like Jonathan Mayberry. We were talking about this before we even started the show. Jonathan Mayberry is a great example. He goes to a lot of the bigger conventions. He is around the San Diego area. He's gone to SDCC a lot of times. He would be somebody that Spilling Ink would want on the show. And if we can go there and be there while he's there and get an interview with him, that helps us as an outlet, a media outlet for publishing. And we get to be part of that, you know, extra extension of publishing into movies, because he's got that TV show going on now.
What's his TV show?
The V Wars. So Ian Somerhalder from the Vampire Diaries is he headed up that project, from what I understand. He was the one that got it greenlit.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, he works with Marvel. He does comic books as well as writing. So, you know.
Yeah, he's a huge name at this point. So he's somebody we want to be in touch with.
I could reach out and try to get him on.
Like I said, I sent him a message and he never responded. So I, you know, had my little cry.
He signed things for my son. So I sent him a note and said, hey, I bought this for my son. Can you send me book plates? And he did. So,
Nice.
you know, He remembers me from the seminars in New York City. So,
Katie, you need to have a couple drinks and just confront him, Katie.
Dude, we all know how bad that is.
like da 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 da.
Yeah, I'm empty, so there will be no more drinks tonight. Okay, we're done.
I know mine is gone as well. This is sad time now. It's not good.
But we do want to reach out, and we do need to be at these public events to do that. So Phoenix will be good. Phoenix does have the writer's track, and I think it'll be a good experience to start with. But if we can make the San Diego Comic-Con actually happen, I would love for us to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, next year's a big year because next year Marvel will be back, and The Walking Dead will be there, and Game of Thrones will be there. So it's going to be a huge.
Well, Game of Thrones, won't they be finishing their run by then?
But it'll be their farewell. It'll be their farewell tour.
Oh, what else is coming out too? There's the Lord of the Rings. Amazon picked up Lord of the Rings to do a TV series a la Game of Thrones style.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of major media attention, and that's the draw of San Diego. That is where all the media goes to.
Okay.
Fun times.
I just worry that sometimes when coming up with these grand schemes that, and I hate to use a phrase that my mother and grandmother would use, but becoming too big for your britches. This has always been a show that we talk a lot to the little guys. We talk a lot to indie and small press authors and try to help them out with what they're doing. And if we all of a sudden think that, okay, boom, we're going to be interviewing Marvel producers, like, is that really who we are? I mean, who are we? Where do you think this show is going to be? We're not going to be mainstream media producers,
Well, and I don't think that that's completely the goal of the show. We want to go behind the book. We don't necessarily just look at indies. Indies is where we started. That's where our base is. But we've talked to Big Five before. We've talked to publishers. We've talked to publicists. We're talking to publicists this weekend on tomorrow's show. We've talked to editors. We've talked to cover artists. We cover more than just the author. We cover all aspects of the publishing industry. This is another aspect, and it's not the only thing we're going to cover, but it is something that we should be covering too.
Okay.
Right. And doesn't David Morrell go to the Phoenix Comic-Con or no? He lives in Arizona.
I don't think I saw him on last year's roster, but they change up a little bit every year.
Okay.
There are some regulars that show up. Weston Oakes and Yvonne Navarro are almost there every single year. I love them. If Yvonne is, she's attached to the V-Wars series, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
What's V-Wars?
It's that Jonathan Mayberry's book that's being turned into a TV show right now.
Okay. I heard you mention the name earlier, but I wasn't familiar with it. So
yeah, I think it originally started off as one story told by multiple viewpoints, and different authors took each viewpoint to tell it. And then once they were done with that book, Jonathan took the rest of it and wrote the rest of it.
And he did a lot of comic books for that too. So
okay.
Yeah. Have you ever read any of his books?
I haven't, and they're on my list. I need to, because that's exactly the genre I read in.
Pick up Patient Zero.
Okay.
Patient Zero is one of my favorites, and his opening to that is my favorite opening of all time.
Is it what kind of book is this? Is this an apocalyptic book, or
if it falls into the V-Wars, isn't it the ice caps melting kind of thing?
No, this isn't V-Wars. This is his zombie series, and it's a very intelligent look at it.
Okay. Was that made into a movie?
No.
Oh, because there's a Patient Zero movie
I know.
also.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. But yeah, it's a paramilitary zombie book. So you like action, you like thrillers, you'll like it. So,
well, that's right up his alley right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm looking it up right now. Oh, the cover is fantastic.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's beautiful. A Joe Ledger novel. That's
Yep.
what I'm. That's
Yes.
what I'm talking.
Yes, get it, read it, devour it. You'll love it.
Okay. And I just picked up a book by Blake Crouch called Dark Matter, and I actually picked it up on audiobook because I had a free code to use, and I've been listening to it for a couple of days now, and it's good. It's not exactly what I expected. It almost I don't know. I expected it to feel a little bit more serious, but I have a feeling that's a little bit the audiobook narrator too. He's got this kind of really exuberant voice, and so it doesn't have a dark and sinister feel, but it's really interesting, kind of a classic thriller style though, where it's
I've read a couple of Blake stuff way back.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm liking it so far. It's different, but it's my mission to get back into thrillers since I'm supposed to be writing thrillers. So I'm trying to read as many of them as I can to stay up on my game. But man, fantasy has been so fun this summer that it's been tough to stay focused.
It's a fun genre.
What's that?
It's a fun genre.
It really is. It really is, especially when you get these cool good ones that have lots of action in them. And I've never been. That's not true, because I used to read a lot of Piers Anthony, which is really high fantasy, lots of dragons and mythical creatures and stuff like that. And I'm not really into that anymore, but I still like all the magical stuff. I just also want gritty violence thrown in as well.
Hey,
I did stuff if I can get it.
I did send you a beta read to do. You could read that
now. I will start on that beta read as soon as
no pressure. Jane already said she doesn't want to see it till the end, so I can't send her the snippets.
Yeah, at this point I want to see it at the end because I'm trying to get Snow done.
and that's where most of my reading has been. I've been doing a lot of beta reading for others. Jane is one of the ones I've been doing a lot of reading for because she's writing so damn fast.
What do you rate, Jane?
Well, right now I'm trying to do a paranormal romance.
Never mind. I'm good.
Yeah, fairy tale retelling, and then I've got my vampire story that I'm doing. That's sort of a prequel to one of my series, and then the last one that I'm trying to write at the same time. I'm trying to write 3 at the same time. Is the first book in the Legend of the Valkyrie series that I'm doing.
And is that an erotic thriller?
None of them are erotic thrillers like survival. Did you pick up survival games?
You know what? You can't write erotic anymore. You get put in Amazon jail.
Oh.
Yeah. I've been cleaning that up. I've got the last 2 books to my editor this coming month, September. So, because they needed a good cleansing. And then I'll release them in January, re-release those series as, rebranded and everything. So,
well, you know what I like is, because I don't necessarily buy erotica. I've read it for friends that wanted a beta reader or needed reviews, and I enjoy it. I think it's fun, good, dirty fun. But what I like is normal books that have good explicit love scenes in them. That's what I like, because it's like, oh, I'm reading this cool normal story, and I get the bonus of having that little bit of erotica snuck in there. I think that's the right way to do it right there. That's what I like anyway.
You'd like my game series, I think.
Okay. Well, it's kind of like when you're watching a movie and you think it's just going to be this normal R-rated movie, and all of a sudden it's like, bam, there's the good stuff happening. That's where it's at. And then you don't feel guilty for renting it, but you get the bonus of seeing it.
You'll look at me completely differently. What, Katie?
You're gonna kill me for not remembering the name of your series. The one with
Survival Games.
No, the Angels.
Angels and Demons.
The Ryan Chronicles.
Yes. Have him read those. He might like those.
Okay. Well,
because you have a good blend in there of the action and a little naughty, and I liked that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Survival Games. The people in the game series are the parents of the Ryans.
Wait, you write books, Jane?
I write lots of freaking books.
the show.
Some of them are a little naughty, yes.
I like
All of
how
them have
randomly
all of them have
shows up.
violence. All of them are a little violent. You know, this smiling little package has a lot of dark stuff in her.
That's good. Oh, fun.
I loved it when my neighbor looked at my husband and said, "Do you sleep at night? Do you lay there with one eye open?" So.
Oh goodness. Oh, I'm switching over to pop now. It's so sad.
Yeah, I went to ginger ale because it's on my little stool over here.
We're about out of time anyways for tonight.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I suppose I should be going and tucking my kids into bed. Ugh, dad duty.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be back tomorrow. We actually have tomorrow is our publicist show. So
yeah. Tell me about that since I haven't read any of the emails that have been sent to me.
So typical. So typical. Well, I guess it'll be a surprise for you tomorrow.
Yes. Do we have 2 guests or 1?
We have two publicists if they show up.
Ooh, is one of them Mickey?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Because Mickey is such an eager publicist. He's always fun to talk to because he's got the lofty ideas and he's got the energy to try and go after them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a good, it's a good thing for a publicist to have. And we can check in with him and see how that's worked for him since he's been at this, I think, for about 2 years now.
You should
and then
sick
we
him
have
on
another. What's that?
You should sick him on San Diego Comic-Con.
He'd probably love it.
Yeah, I know. He would be all over that business.
And then our other publicist is a local Vegas guy that also seems very, very eager and likes to specifically target like the news media. So it should be an interesting balance for us.
Interesting.
Neat.
Okay. Yeah, that will be a good show. And 2 guys again.
Yeah. I haven't found any girl publicists that I can talk to.
So female publicist, if you're out there, please contact us. We would like to hear from you.
Absolutely. I've tried to reach out to some agents too, and they're so dang busy that I think it was like 15 emails deep into one conversation where they're like, I just can't do it. I'm like, okay. I've given you so many different dates and we've tried to work this out and it just never works. So anybody out there that's looking to be featured, we want to talk to you. Yes. Publicists, editors, cover artists, authors, you name it. We want to talk to you.
Yeah. I mean, reminding me I'll remind myself to talk to you about it tomorrow, Katie. But yeah, because I might have a couple leads on some good people to have on. That'll be different. Sorry, I'm moving my microphone around with this little grippy tripod thing. I'm wondering how long it'll last. Oh, it's going. There we go. Anyhow,
we'll talk about it tomorrow, or just shoot me an email or whatever. But yeah, we do have some openings in our schedule now, so we're definitely looking to book new artists, new interviews.
Okay, good deal. I have a cover artist, and Jacqueline Carey actually recommended a friend of hers who just published a book for the Smithsonian on something or other. She's a fellow over there at the museum. She's like, yeah, she'd be great to have on. So I have to get in touch with her about that.
Cool deal.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, until then, guys, thanks for hanging out. This is our monthly happy hour chat. We'll be back again with Drinks with Authors in September. And check us on every Saturday for our regular Spilling Ink show.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.